Welcome to this explainer on trenchless pipe repair. If you manage a property or own a home, there is really just one universal dread that keeps us all up at night, right? The catastrophic plumbing emergency. We've all pictured it, the backhoes rolling in, your pristine lawn literally torn to shreds, the driveway cracked wide open, and weeks of just massive disruption. But actually, there's another way. Today, we're going to dive right into the source material to see exactly what trenchless technology is, when it works like a charm, and just as importantly, when it absolutely doesn't.
So, can you actually fix a broken pipe without completely destroying your yard? That's really the core question we're tackling here. Traditionally, dealing with a deteriorating sewer or water line meant one thing: full-blown excavation. You had to dig a massive trench just to physically reach the damaged pipe, and the stakes of that old-school method are incredibly high. We're talking ruined landscaping, destroyed hardscapes, and a huge disruption to your daily operations. Often the logistical headache of putting your property back together costs just as much as the actual pipe repair itself.
Let's get right into the no-dig solution, which is all about minimally invasive repair.
At its core, trenchless pipe repair is exactly what it sounds like. It's the process of fixing leaking, damaged, or deteriorating lines by using existing access points, basically minimizing any surface disruption. Think of traditional excavation as open-heart surgery for your yard. Trenchless repair, on the other hand, is much more like a minimally invasive arthroscopic procedure. Contractors can just utilize existing access points, things like manholes, cleanouts, or very small entry pits, to reach the problem area without needing to dig a huge trench.
The immediate impact of this approach is property preservation. Since the work happens entirely underground through those small access points, it completely saves your roads and paved driveways from the dreaded jackhammer. It protects your carefully curated landscaping. But honestly, beyond just the physical property, it preserves your daily routines. Bypassing a massive, weeks-long construction site drastically reduces the overall job timelines, letting you get back to your normal life so much faster.
Now let's talk about exactly when to go trenchless and where this magic bullet really works.
Trenchless repair truly shines when you're working in constrained environments. It's the absolutely ideal solution for going beneath paved driveways, working in tight rights-of-way, or repairing lines right near existing utilities. Doing a traditional excavation in those exact same obstructed areas, that is highly costly and incredibly risky. If digging means you might accidentally strike another utility line or tear up some high-end hardscaping, trenchless definitely becomes the clear preference.
So how exactly does this wizardry work? Well, we aren't just slapping a patch on a hole. Liners and in-pipe coatings restore the pipe's structural integrity and actually improve flow by creating a brand new internal surface. Essentially, the contractors are building a perfectly smooth, brand new pipe right inside the old damaged one. It's like a pipe within a pipe. For aging infrastructure, it's a super practical way to extend service life without dealing with the massive scale of full replacement.
While it's incredibly effective, we have to note that trenchless is explicitly designed for localized issues. This includes things like cracks, simple leaks, joint separation, general corrosion, and early-stage deterioration. But here is the crucial caveat. For these liners to actually work their magic, the original pipe's alignment needs to still be mostly serviceable. If the pipe is relatively straight and holding its general shape, trenchless can swoop in and fix these degradations beautifully.
But what about when trenchless falls short? Let's set some clear boundaries here.
As much as we all love the idea of a silver bullet, we really need a reality check. As our source material points out perfectly, trenchless isn't automatically the right answer for every single pipe problem. It is so important to establish the realistic boundaries of this technology. The best option for you is going to depend entirely on the specific type of damage, the surrounding soil conditions, and the actual physical realities of your property.
Here is exactly where that no-dig promise hits a brick wall. Structural failures that simply require excavation. Look, if a pipe is severely collapsed, fully blocked, or crushed way beyond what a liner can reliably restore, trenchless rehabilitation is just going to fail to achieve the necessary structural performance. Think about it for a second. If you're trying to push a liner through, but there is extensive deformation totally blocking the path, installation becomes literally impossible. In these severe cases, you really have no choice but to dig.
Beyond full structural collapse, we also have to consider severe obstructions. We're talking heavy debris accumulation, complex blockages, or severe root intrusion. And here's a fun fact for you. Tree roots can actually detect moisture from pipes up to 20 feet away, and they will relentlessly crush joints just to get to it. While some trenchless systems do use pre-cleaning to clear minor issues, aggressive root systems that have completely taken over just cannot be cured with a liner. You have to dig down and address the root of the problem. Pun totally intended, right at its source. Finally, the physical layout of your property plays a huge role. Site constraints absolutely matter. Trenchless work requires usable access points for the machinery. If your property doesn't have suitable entry locations, if the pathway to install the liners is obstructed, or if the pipe configuration is just unusually difficult to navigate, well, that minimal digging advantage shrinks considerably. Simply put, if the machines can't reach the pipe, trenchless is off the table.
So, moving on, how do the professionals actually make the call when looking at a property? Let's look at the diagnostic phase.
With all these variables flying around, how do you know what the right move is? Well, reliable recommendations don't rely on guesswork, they rely on a very strict diagnostic process. Step 1 is video inspection. The pros send closed-circuit cameras right down into your pipes to get eyes on the actual problem. Step 2 is the assessment. This is where they evaluate the pipe's material, its diameter, the state of the joints, and the exact extent of the damage. And finally, Step 3 is the final recommendation, which determines whether liner rehabilitation will do the trick or if a full replacement is required.
When the professionals are reviewing that camera footage, here are the key decision factors they're weighing. They look at the exact severity and location of the defects. They check for pipe misalignment because remember, a severely shifted pipe just can't be lined. They measure exactly how much the internal diameter is affected by buildup, and they even factor in the condition of the surrounding soil. It's a pretty complex equation they run to ensure they're giving a safe, dependable recommendation for your specific property. Ultimately, the decision comes down to a careful comparison. Trenchless rehabilitation is a highly effective, incredibly innovative way to address common degradation and leaks with way less disruption. But traditional replacement remains the safer and sometimes necessary path when the damage is just too severe, access is too limited, or the underlying issue simply cannot be corrected through a liner alone.
Which brings us to our final thought. Have you inspected the state of your own aging infrastructure before a crisis hits? Trenchless repair works best when it's caught before total structural failure. Don't wait for your yard to literally flood to find out what's going on underground. Being proactive with a really simple video inspection could be the difference between a minimally invasive fix today and a deeply disruptive, highly expensive excavation tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we will see you next time.